Morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to my channel. As you know, we all have difficulties in some areas of our lives with junking, whether it's putting signatures in, doing the front of your journal, whatever it may be. But today we'll concentrate on signatures and what I actually learnt in through the process of my junking in the last 3 years. I've been junk journaling since probably say November, back about 3 years, and in that time I have learnt lots. As you can see, that's a 12 signature journal. Now, for instance, if I'm doing a 12 signature journal, I wouldn't put more than 5 pages at the most in a journal. That's got 5 pages per signature, so that's 12. So what I'm going to show you is what I actually do to achieve that. Now, we all know we need to have something that's going to be simple, easy, and the easiest way I come up with is this. So if, for instance, I'm doing 12 signatures, I would start here, right, my first strike, and it'd be 1. Now, as you noticed, I have used the same length of my pages. My pages are the same length as this paper. So that's signature 1. Then I go to the, I could go closer. So I will go closer. Oops. I haven't got my, say there. There's 2. There's 3. So I would go in every notch. Whoops, did I miss one? Yeah. Nope. So each notch till I get my 12. And this is so simple, ladies. So much simpler than trying to, oops. It is so much simpler than trying to do it any other way. Because it's hard to see. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, if I wanted them wider, I would go the next notch. Oops. Now, what I'm using is photo matte paper. I've always used photo matte papers for my signatures. I find it's easier for me to work with. So next notch. So I don't keep templates. And I'll tell you why in a minute. Well, I'll tell you now. Because all our journals are different. Oops. It's really hard working with, I can't find my tool for my scoreboard. So let's say that is 12 signatures. All right, so then we go over here and we just do 1 line. Then we take it over. And normally what I do, I'll start here. Now, when I keep that. So what I'm going to do before I will mark it as top. So I just put a T there, a T there, bottom, bottom. I'll put the T closer so we don't tear it away. But the bottom's there, so we know. So then we'll take it this way. And what I normally do is, I prefer working this way because it's easier for me. I will start 1/4 of an inch in. Hang on a minute. Yeah, about 1/4 of an inch in. And I would take it right across. And then I would go an inch. So there to there is an inch. Well, you don't even have to do it that much, but we're going to do it that much. An inch. And then I go to here. Again, I'll mark it at 1/4. And then I will go to an inch. The inch is there. And then, so I started at the 1, and that's 9. So I just roughly estimate 4.5, because it doesn't really matter. And again, I will do it at an inch. And right, and you can see my markings. So what we do then, we get our texture. We need something that's not really thick, because we need it thick. And then all you do is you mark them. You mark every little one you've done. It's really hard to see in this light because it's white. But this is what I do. See, here I clashed a little, but it's not going to matter. I've got to do it so I can see it. So you see what I'm doing? I'm just marking every strike. But it's really hard to see because the light's too heavy for my eyes this time of the morning. So what we'll do, we'll bend it to make it easy. Shouldn't have to do that, but anyway, I am because I can't see. And you just strike each one. So there is a mark there. But anyway, you'll see what I'm doing. So I'm trying to see. So that's if you want signatures to be tightly fitted into your journal. And then you go across to this one and you mark this one. So we pretend we've done all that, right, because it will just take up too much time. And then what I normally do is I get my cutter. Because this is just showing you what I do. We get my cutter. We make sure we leave enough there and enough on that side. And then we go to here and we cut it right to where it ends. I just normally leave 1/4 of an inch, which I didn't, because I'm not seeing what I'm doing. It's really hard doing. All right. Then I take it this way and I'll leave 1/4 of an inch. And there's my, well, I would normally take a bit more off because it's 12. So that's done the length of my pages. So that's your 12 signatures. And like I said, you mark them. But we're not going to do 12 signatures. We're going to do, say, 5 to make life easier for you. That's scrap. Now, with this one, you bend it because it's been scored. You make sure it's all marked so you don't miss it. So it's there, 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 and there. I didn't press down hard enough, but anyway, that gives you an idea. Let's go on the 4 signatures because it will be easier if I forget how much I've put on that. Now, when I do my 5 signatures, so we'll get that, and there's my signature. So that's 1 signature. So normally what I make sure I do is that my paper is cut to that length. So normally I just put it through my cutter. I always cut it to the length of my pages. And I'm trying to do it the easy way so that you don't get confused. Okie dokie. So, again, we bring this and we're going to mark out 4 signatures. I mean, how many is there? They're only 1 pages, but we're going to pretend they are signatures because this is not ready. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to go 5 signatures. So what we do, we're going to mark 5. I'm going to start at the 2. And I'm going to really do it hard this time so I can see. 1. 2. Whoops. And I always go, oops. If I can find my tools, it'd be good. I always go 1/8 of an inch. You can go 1/4, but I always go 1/8. I find 1/8 still gives you a really good signature. So that's there. Oops. This is 4. There's 5. And there we're going to mark our centre. Our 1. And I mark it hard because I want to be able to. So I just used photo matte paper. And I didn't want to waste this paper. It printed out wrong. So now we want to, now you can do this in the 5-hole pamphlet stitch. I do mine a little bit differently. So I go 1/4 inch in and I take it across. And I'm marking it hard. And then I go an inch there. This is actually really thick photo matte. You don't need it as thick as this, but I just tend to use it anyway. So I want to work out my centre, which is 9. So I'll start the next lot, say at 5.5. It's still going to work regardless of how you're going to do it. And then I want 1 inch there. And then I want to go here at 1/4 inch. And like I said, I've got to really press it hard because This is very heavy duty photomat paper, and I don't normally use the heaviest weight, but for some reason I got the heavy weight this time. Oh, I couldn't find the thinner weight. It's very strong. It's going to give you a really, really good. That's not quite sink water. Then we go to the inch, which is there. Okie dokie. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then what I do is I mark it. Oh, hang on. Yeah, that's right. I mark it. So I'm going to put a T there and a T here, where my centre's going, where my thing is. Then I'm going to dot each one where my markings are. Just going to make sure I see what I'm doing. Light is very hard in this room. And I dot there. So you dot in between each strike. Striped that way, that way. I hope I'm explaining this right. Look, my English isn't the best, but look, I try my best to give you an easy alternative of doing your signatures, and this keeps them straight in your journal. And this is why I do it this way. I found this way works for me. It mightn't work for you, but why not give it a go, you know? You might be surprised how easy it truly is to do it this way. Oops. There. So now we need our cutting board. And I allow a couple of inches to there. And I'm going to roughly estimate that's a couple of inches. And then I get close to my, and I just leave about a 1/8. I'll just do it this way, I think. A 1/8 away from the, so again I roughly estimate a 1/8. Not even a 1/8, you know, I try to get as close to my line as possible. So there, and I'll go back and clean that up a little bit closer. Right. So there's our templates ready to go. I do this with each journal I make. I do it this way. Like I said, you can do this with the 5-hole pamphlet stitch. Make sure you've got your papers at the right size of that, which you're going to find some of it's probably that little bit too tall. And all I'll do there is I would take a little bit off this end. And where's my other piece? Because we want them the same. And like I said, you need to know where your top is. Oops. Just remember to mark your top. So I'm going to mark that as my top. And that's my top. Just measure your papers properly from the start. I obviously didn't. But this is just to give you an idea how I go about doing my signatures. Then I get my, I'll get it. Oh, I thought I had it. And what I do, I need my glue. And I get a piece of fabric to the same size as this, and I stick it to the back of it. And I use fabric glue. This is how easy it is. Like I said, I don't throw nothing out because to me, I'm going to utilise what prints out badly in some way, shape or form. I stick it down. Now normally, I always do it on fabric, always. So there you go. We'll let that dry before we do anything to that. And then I normally use a big book. And what I do, before I put this in my big book, I stab it. And I just use the foam. There you go. And that's ready to go. So then what we do, we get the middle of the book, any book will do, and you get your signatures. And you just pile them all on top of each other. So we pretend there's 5 signatures there. They're only one, but we're just doing it like this because it's just easier for me today. So there's 5 signatures, because that's what we're pretending we've got. So you put the whole 5 signatures together, you put that inside, you make sure that your bottom, meets the bottom. So then when you go to sew your signatures in, you're going to have a perfect alignment. So you're not going to have signatures going this way, that way, and that way. And then you go in and stab them. I hope you can see. You're not wrecking the book, by the way. It's just, it's like a the bigger the book is better because it's giving you more leeway. And they're all stabbed in. Yep. So there's your signatures marked. So now what we do, we get our template. Or this is what we're going to use. Like I said, I always use Photomat inside my covers. We get the phone, and we do the same. We mark them. So for those of you who have difficulties with signatures, you don't need to have problems anymore, because this is the same length as that. Look, you can't get it wrong. So your scoreboard can be used for this. Now, if we run out of time, so what I normally do, once my signatures are sewn in, I then put a piece of paper on here, because I don't worry about that, because there I normally put cheesecloth. But let's sew these signatures in. I'm not going to do them all. I'm just going to do a couple and show you what I actually do. So my signatures, so we get a signature at a time. We take it to that way. So if you want to put this to the back, or you want to put it to the front, you can start. I normally start from the back, and this is all I do. Now normally I would clip them together so they don't move, but I don't stress it out, and I always start at the top. So I start at the top, bring it through to the next one. And this is the catch with this one. It's, oops, I got the shaky shakes. I'm pretty tired. I haven't been sleeping well again. I've been having my moments where I sleep sometimes, and I seem to be having sleeps in 2 hours shots. So I'm not doing well today like I normally should be, but I've got to do something, because then it just plays havoc with my day if I don't. So because you know where the top is and you know where the bottom is, this is going to be so much easier. And then I take it through. So this is just sewing signatures, nothing more. It's going to make life a lot easier for you. Like I said, because of the fabric, it's very hard to see. There it is, it's gone through. And you take it through to the next one. And so on. It's a really neat, tidy way of doing things. I've been doing it this way for a long time. But your signatures are even. None of my books are uneven. They're not topsy-turvy. But if you've got papers that are all over the place, you've got to make sure they're clipped in, or even slightly stitch them in with a stitch. And then that way you haven't got papers bouncing around. Like if I'm using all sorts of papers, that's what I do. You know, if they're all different sizes, I will stitch them in. Just trying to see where that quarter is. I don't think I put that through. So I didn't. So yeah, easy it is to manage the signature. But like I said, you really need to make sure when you're doing this that so now I make sure that is threaded right through. And we're going to go through to the next one. So we go to the next hole. Oh, I didn't do that one either. Oh dear. Just watch you don't stab yourself when you do things like Jeannie does, which is a little bit backwards. So there it is there. And we get our next signature out. Make sure they're the right way. And you thread it through. Take it all the way up. Like I said, this is just to show you how to get started in your signatures. The simple, easy, uncomplicated way. Just got to find where the hole is. Like I said, brown's not easy to see through, but what I like about brown, and I'll show you in a minute what I mean when I do these things these ways. I did. And you're going to see this is going to be even, so it's just there. Because you can easily see what you're doing. This is what I like about this sort of method. And you can pull. So I'm only going to sew the two, and I'll show you how to end off when you get to the top here before you start the next one off again. And then that way you'll know that your signature is secure, because this is what it's all about. You've got to make sure the signature, each second signature is secure. And like I said, if you're putting pages in left, right and centre, you know, some of us put pages up the top, some of us put pages down the bottom. Just get a fine needle and cotton and just sew them together. They won't slip. That's my advice to you. Then you won't have the grief that some of us have with our signatures. And Jeannie didn't put a hole up the top. So she'll take her cotton through and make the hole. Oh, that one. Chip. Okay. So she'll bring her needle through. This is more awkward when you're doing it in front of the camera, believe me, than it is to actually do. This is a really simple technique. The easiest way I know to sew a signature. So now this is what you do. You make sure that is secure. That is secure. Normally I would have a longer string, but we don't need it. Then we tie it off. So we know that's not going to move, that signature. And then you start the next one and so forth. So you go down, up. See how secure and neat and tidy that is? And your signatures are going to be in line. So we pretend we've finished off the 5 signatures when we really haven't. So then what I would normally do is I get cheesecloth, and don't forget you've got to tie them all off at the top. Restart, go back down, go back up, tie off. So normally by the time I'm finished, I've got a good tie off there. Then when I'm finished, I get my glue and I put back cheesecloth on that. On here, I normally will get some paper and I'll stick paper down on each side. I get my scissors once the paper is down, and I do a little bit of